Yeah, we have a lot to be thankful for this holiday season, I should say, this Thanksgiving Eve. There really is a lot to be thankful for as we grapple with the reality, really, of saying goodbye to some of the Rangers favorites from 2 years ago. We welcome you to the DLLS Rangers podcast. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. John Radigan here, Jeff Wilson there, and we want to remind you first and foremost about the Black Friday sale. Right now, we've got just this day left for the early access for diehards only. Look at there. You see that you can save up to 90% on this unbelievable sale of all our merchandise. And I saw today that somehow, I guess maybe because it's colder in Chicago, they have we've got a contest going, of course, and they've sold fewer items than Dallas has, but they've taken in a little more money. So it must be that the people up there are buying more of the hoodies and stuff, which are a little more expensive. But by God, we've sold the second most amount of merchandise, Jeff, and that's because our diehards and our chatters are awesome, and we want to keep this up. We want to keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same thought. They must be buying sweatshirts because
yeah,
they're a little more expensive, and we're I guess it's sweatshirt weather today here. If you're in the sun and doing something, it's a little warm, but if you're just hanging around, you probably want a sweatshirt. So buy sweatshirts, buy t-shirts, buy the hat, just buy.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I love that we've sold more. We just haven't sold for as much, so that's okay. We're proud of it. And look, the other three that are beneath us are have been around a lot longer than us. So we're killing it, and we're proud of it. And we're proud to have you with us today. There's still a lot to talk about regarding the Rangers, and there's still a ton more to do. I'm not positive that any of it will get done in the next 2 or 3 days, but there's just a lot more that needs to be done by this Rangers front office. But what they've done, Jeff, basically in a week and a half, I guess, since the GM meetings ended, is somewhat staggering, really, when again, the decision, I think, had been made on the non-tenders, but to lose all of that and then to gain somebody back who checks so many boxes in Brandon Nimmo, I believe it's been another pretty good beginning, at least, of a remake for this Rangers team by the front office.
Yeah, and the last time they were coming out of a rebuild, in 2021, I guess 2020 they tried to win, and they're trying to do it with Corey Kluber and Todd Frazier, and they brought back Robinson Chirinos, and the offense was never going to be good enough, even if the pitching had been great. And Lance Lynn was great, in that season, but they decided to rebuild. They traded what they could, and then 2021 was an unmitigated disaster when you lose 102 games. But they spent money, so they were they had torn down the payroll with the intent of spending money, much to the surprise of everybody. When they signed Semien and Seager, and John Gray, will throw him in, Cole Calhoun, all right. But point being, that's where it started. That was the foundation. It was a 2 off-season process.
Yeah.
22, they added DeGrom, and then they added Eovaldi, who was so instrumental in the playoffs while DeGrom was nursing his elbow. But now it's different. Now it's time to hate to say out with the old, in with the new, but it's not working anymore. And I think that they realize that, and a third straight year of the same people doing the same things would just be malpractice by the front office. So here we are, and we're still wondering where it's going to go. We know who's not going to be back in large part, though I think it's possible other things happen, and we need to know more of who's coming in.
We do, and I think that to your point, I was thinking the exact same thing about the last time there was a remake, if you will. It really was more of a rebuild, right? It was right down to the studs after 21, and then they had to, because of what happened in 21, and they had to rebuild from scratch, and so that took 2 off seasons. The beauty here is if it looks like it'll be able to be accomplished in one offseason, the pitching is going to remain a strength of this team for at least a couple more years. And so as long as that part is in place, the Rangers don't have to devote an entire offseason to that. And so it's just a matter of finding the right people to do the right things at the right time with the new philosophy that is being brought in by the new manager. So there's hope, and we can be thankful that it wasn't, and it really isn't. I mean, let's call it a remake, but not a rebuild. And I see a lot of people on the social medias talking about, the 2023 team is completely gone. It's not completely gone. It's largely been moved, but there are some people obviously left from that 2023 team, and some of them just happened to be. And I know Jacob deGrom wasn't a part of it, other than for the first 6 or 7 starts he had, but some of them are largely the best players the Rangers had and have in 2023 and now, including Corey Seager, as you mentioned, Nathan Eovaldi, and Jacob deGrom. Almost any franchise in baseball, Jeff, would start with those 3.
No question about it. I mean, if I don't know if you see these things on social media. It's like pick your 3, and it's team 1, so and so, so and so, and so and so. It's a pretty good team the Rangers can throw out there for their 3, and I think a lot of people would take it: a premium left-handed hitter and 2 premium right-handed pitchers, starting pitchers. I mean, it's hard to beat, but now you got to put the right things around them. You feel good about Jack Leiter. You need to feel good about Brandon Nimmo, Wyatt Langford, of course, and then but then it's kind of like, all right, what do we got? Evan Carter, is he healthy? Josh Young, is he going to be the player we thought he was going to be? Can Jake Berger rebound? What in the world is going to happen with Jock Peterson? And that doesn't even get to the bullpen, which lost, 5 arms, 6 arms.
Right.
So, there is work to do, and you're doing it on a little bit more of a budget this year, and so it's hard work, but again, and Chris Young said it way back, first day of the offseason, we're not rebuilding. Nobody's using that word, and so if they told Brandon Nimmo that, they better been telling him the truth, because he's upending his life to join the Rangers. So we'll see what's going to happen, but there's going to be a lot of moves. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens, kind of next week going into the winter meetings, something after winter meetings, and then before Christmas. Eovaldi said that he and his wife decided to join the Rangers on Christmas Eve of 22. It was announced a few days later. So they're just going to be busy, and it's probably going to go into spring training, just the way it is these days.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that the Rangers find themselves in a position where, in some ways, and maybe every year it's like this, Jeff, but it's become pretty clear what they need, right? So you can just check down the list. Obviously, they need a catcher, because there's only one that's ready to play at the major league level right now. We know they need bullpen arms, and for sure they believe, and Chris Young always believes, they need at least one more starting pitcher. So, look, let's get greedy. I mean, it's, we're making the Christmas list here. It'd be great to have a second baseman too. But there are internal candidates who can do that job. There aren't any that can do the catching job. And really, I suppose there's some you could force into the bullpen jobs, but you need to address those positions.
Yeah, and I don't know where you would start. If money is an issue, where do you prioritize spending the money?
Right.
If you have second base guys who you think can play second base, maybe at league average, offensively and defensively, okay, maybe you get by there. We've been saying all along they need a catcher. Don't think that's changed, but they do need a second baseman. Do you want to look at a rise like everybody does? I see Ketel Marte's name in the chat. you know, an affordable guy for the next couple of years. Really, the duration of his contract is affordable. But yeah, what does that cost you in terms of prospects? Who would you be shipping to Arizona that you haven't already shipped in the Merrill Kelly trade? And then starting pitching. I mean, if you could add an arm to go with DeGrom, Evaldi, Leiter, who's going to give you 30 good starts, it's hard to turn down.
Oh boy, it sure would be. And you know, there is news on the second base front, and you know, I don't know how significant it is. This is another guy who could play second base, although he's more of a corner infielder. But he's a guy who played for Skip Schumacher in Miami in 23, and I think he was there in 24. But Jonah Bride has been signed to a minor league contract, Jeff, with a invite to spring training. And he had, you know, he's been with several different teams throughout his major league career, but his best stretch, his best stint was in the 71 games he played in 23 under Skip Schumacher.
Yeah, he showed some power that season, 270-ish at bats, 11 home runs. But, I mean, that's just it. He's had 270 at bats. That's just
right.
You're not talking about the next Marcus Semien here. You're talking about another guy who joins the ranks of Smith, Duran, Freeman, now from McBride, but Haggerty and Hellman were also mentioned by Chris Young. So I think they're going to be better served, especially if they don't have a right-handed hitting outfielder in the outfield. So, hey, great. You know, you're going to see a lot of these guys, a lot of names you're going to recognize that sign minor league deals. And like Adrian Hauser last year was shocked he signed a minor league deal. Well, he worked his way into a big league deal this offseason. But the point is, Mr. Jonah is not the solution.
No.
To any major.
No. If he was, there would be bigger than a minor league deal
right.
to bring him here. But again, what it speaks to, though, once again is, and we've said it ever since Skip got here, we don't know where all of his, relationships are and where his ties are and how many people he's had contact with, so many throughout his career that, we'll continue to see people that he likes and he trusts and he got, he got significant contributions from. So that's one of the things, and it's certainly one of the things on the list, but it's probably not at the top of the list, at least not for now. We've got more coming up here on the DLLS Rangers podcast, though, as we continue to get you ready for Thanksgiving and get you ready for another flurry of activity, probably beginning next week with the Texas Rangers. And Marcus Semien addressed the media in New York yesterday. Always a dicey proposition. Let's talk about what Marcus said and how the media treated him next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, and there was hail just this week, I think yesterday or the day before, hail in the North Texas area, and I went through it in March, and I know the areas that did receive the hail, and I saw pictures on the socials with the big hail balls like I found. They do damage, man. I had a car totaled, which has nothing to do with Qualis Roofing, but I also had a couple of roofs that needed replacing. And if you find yourself in that boat, there is no better call that you can make other than the one to Qualis Roofing. One of our brand new sponsors. We're so glad to have them on board. They're local. That's the greatest thing. It's not a fly-by-night, sort of a cloak and dagger trying to, pound on doors. They're somebody you can trust. They're in basically DFW and Austin. And they are fantastic. They do great work, commercial or residential. And we encourage you to connect with them at QualisGC.com, or you can call 817-500-9008. Have them just come out for an inspection. You get one of these great DLLS shirts. You do your job with them, and you can get a Traeger smoker or either a Blackstone grill. So you can't beat the deal, and they're great. They're local. Their quality is fantastic. QualisRoofing.com.
Here's a question for you. Hoof, plural, is hooves, but roof, plural, is hoofs, is roofs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Why isn't it roofs?
Roofs or roofs, yeah.
That's something you could ask major league players at the Rangers fantasy camp presented by National Car Rental. It's your opportunity to live out the dream that we've all had. We've all wanted to be major league players. We ran out of gas at some point, but here's the chance to finally live the dream. It's in Arizona, the Surprise Recreation Facility where I've spent my last 18 springs. Great place. The area's grown, but forget about Surprise. It's what's happening on the field. You get 5 days where you're going to play double headers with guys like you who want to live out their dream, alongside guys who you've watched on television or watched from the stands do great things in Rangers history. Fergie Jenkins should have won the Cy Young. Should be the Rangers' only Cy Young winner, but he's not. Pudge Rodriguez, MVP, Hall of Famer. Fergie's in the Hall of Fame. And all kinds of other guys who've agreed to help out. A long roster of guys who you know and will love to sit and talk to and learn about the game from. So go ahead and go to Rangers.com/fantasy camp. They've been running a flash sale, which I think ends Monday or Tuesday. So hop in and get this done. It'd be a nice big present under the tree for somebody you love.
Yeah, I think it really would be. It'd be a lot of fun for you and or for somebody you love. So or take both. You and that somebody you love. That'd be kind of fun. But anyway, so Marcus met with the media in New York yesterday, and he admitted, Jeff, and not surprisingly, one of the first questions they asked was, how he heard about it, and he said he had admitted that he started hearing sort of things about this on Friday. You saw him on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was probably after you had seen him, or maybe he's just that good an actor. I don't know.
It was a little bit different. Coming to think about it as I've replayed it, he didn't have a lot of answers. He didn't, usually he'll give pretty good answers. The most interesting one, of course, was in regards to Jonah and Dolis being non-tendered, and the business of baseball. He said, business of baseball got us today. So maybe he knew a little bit more than we were thinking at the time. But that's it. That is interesting because he was there and happy and helping folks out, and good old time with two of his boys, and his wife did deliver another baby girl at the end of October.
Right.
So they're a family of 5. He's fired up about that. And anyway, yeah, life changing yet again.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very interesting, and you're right. The actual phrase "business of baseball" came up in his answer to the New York media. So perhaps, he was, that was just a sort of copy paste from the comments he made to you guys to the comments he made that day and yesterday in New York. He's going to wear number 10 in a Mets uniform, and I was a little surprised. And Jeff, I think every person would be different on this front, maybe even as much as 50-50, like, do you like visiting New York or not, right? And probably half the people, maybe not that many anymore, but it probably used to be half the people, I love visiting New York, and half the people, oh my God, no, keep me away from New York, So he's one of the guys, though, and I remember asking him, we'd always do when I was on TV, the what's your favorite road city? What's your favorite stadium? Just to have content for throughout the season. And he always did say he loved going to New York. And then he told them that yesterday. And but I was surprised to hear him say he's really, really anxious to play in that environment. Maybe a veiled shot at Rangers fans a little bit, because he mentioned something about how they're just always so intense, the fans, and he said, I thrive on that.
Well, I mean, you should thrive on wanting to do the best. You shouldn't need anything extra from your fans. So yeah, I would say that's a little bit of a veiled shot, but he's also, if he gets off to another dreadful start, he's not going to like those fans, and they're not going to like him. That's just the way it is. We hope for the best, though, for Marcus. I mean, he's, served our community very well, helped the Rangers win the World Series at long last. I heard of a book with the name of that title, by the way. that is interesting, and you know, and like you know, a lot of these players will live like in Connecticut and commute in, or I guess some may live in New Jersey and commute in. But I think that you know, it's going to be a good situation for him and the family, and you know, pretty unique. What if you're you know you're the oldest? You've been in the Bay Area, you've been to Toronto, you've been to Texas, and now you're getting to go to New York. You know, good experiences for the family, but the baseball is what matters, and you know, he's got to produce in that media market, and that he seems to embrace. He's got to produce, or else it's going to turn on him.
Yeah, and of course, for the normal working person, the hard part about moving to New York, you know, or taking a job in New York is that it's so expensive to live there. But he's, you know, San Francisco area where he's from is too, and you know, New York is what it is. But again, these money isn't the doesn't, you know, it's a blessing for baseball players. Money, especially when you're on a $175 million contract, money doesn't have to be a concern in that regard. I've also been watching many of the interviews that Brendan Nimmo has done, and they had him on one of the MLB Network shows yesterday. It's the one that Matt Vasgersian and Harold Reynolds usually do.
Hot stove.
Yeah, hot stove. But Matt was out, and I wasn't even sure myself who the replacement, the fill-in was. But by God, Brandon called them both by name. The fill-in guy asked Brandon a question. Oh, you know, Jimmy, whatever. Oh, Jimmy and Harold, thank you so much for having me on the show. And I just thought about what you told me about your Zoom call with him. I thought, what a nice guy. Because again, especially on something like that, you know how it can be. It's like a production line. He does one show, and then he turns his computer off, and then he turns it back on and does another one, and then he does another one, and he's calling people by name and all that. But I will say that he said on one of them that in the conversation with the Mets, and I don't know if this came up and when you guys had him, but he said in the conversation with the Mets, it did come up that the young guys, the young outfielders that are in the Mets organization were putting pressure on him to the point that, you know, soon he may become more of a DH and less of a you know, outfielder.
Yeah, no, that didn't come up. That's interesting because you know every guy, every regular MLB player knows that they're going to take his. You know, you're probably aware of it. You don't always admit to it. G47. But ultimately, at some point, Corey Seager might be looking over his shoulder at Sebastian Walcott.
Sure.
Like, am I going to move positions? Are they going to make him? Sebastian will be the one that moves, but nevertheless, it's something that's going to come up here.
Yeah, and it comes up for every player at some point in their career, and they never like it. We heard the story from Brett Boone last year when, you know, Mark McLemore had his position, had his spot secured in the Seattle Mariners organization, and when Brett first got there, Mac didn't like him very much because he realized, oh man, that guy Boone over there is going to try to take my job, and Mac knew his dad, he knew his brother, he knew everybody, but still, you're trying to take my job.
You made a bingo yet, John?
Yeah, you hear the bingo going on in the background of my dad's assisted living here. Here we go.
All right.
I love it. Everybody's going bingo.
Let me know when you get one. Let me know
I'll
when you
let
get
you know.
one. It's always exciting.
It's B12.
It's
B12.
like a thrill when you get a bingo. It's like, oh my God, bingo!
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, T.O. says I'm hosting the bingo for the senior citizens today. I'll tell you this, we're going to know when one of them has a bingo because there's going to be some, you know, cheering and jumping up and down. So anyway,
right, well,
on we go.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, on we go. Yeah. And so, but you know, the process and the transition for both those guys, you know, it really is rare in this day and age that big name player is traded for big name player, and really both markets are losing a guy who was very significantly important to them.
Yeah, and for a bunch of reasons, and you know, fans like guys who play hard. They like guys who hit 30 home runs, drive in 100 runs too. But they notice when a guy's playing hard, taking an extra base, making a diving stop. They recognize it and they appreciate it. And Marcus did a lot of that. Marcus was in the community. Recently is Friday, like we've talked about. It wasn't the first time he'd been out there distributing meals and doing things with his family, his foundation. The same way. Guys come and go. He's been there. He has 9 years of it. So he's been a picture there on a roster that has, let's be honest, changed a lot. They have Juan Soto, Scherzer, they have Verlander. They've lost some guys like David Wright, who's retired. They have Francisco Lindor, seems like a cornerstone piece. Pete Alonso, who's now a free agent. Who knows if he's coming back? But he was the constant, and he talked about the possibility and the thought that he was going to finish his career at the Mets. That's why they built the house in Port St. Lucie, training facility.
Got a bingo.
But anyway, somebody was he was planning to have people to his house in spring training.
Yeah.
And now he said, well, I'm probably not going to have time to buy a house, but we're going to be able to he said rent an event space or just do something because he wants to get to know these guys. He wants to be a great teammate. And so people are really going to like him here. Just getting to listen to the guy. They're going to like the production he gives. You're going to start hearing the story how he is in the clubhouse, in addition to what he's doing on the field. And I think people. I'm looking forward to people getting to know him, just because our brief experience with him as the media so far was so fantastic. It seems going to resonate across the area.
Yeah, it seems like he is that guy that everybody wants to get to know. And in fact, one of the questions that Marcus was asked was about, do you realize what you're replacing here? And I just thought, and it was some grizzled old New York writer who was asking the question, and I thought, first of all, they don't play the same position. Replacing is such the wrong word here, right? But he was talking about the clubhouse effect that Brandon Nimmo has. And Marcus answered it, as we know he always does, perfectly and beautifully. And he paid tribute to that person that Brandon Nimmo is and has been in the clubhouse, but then went on to say, I do things my way, and we're going to continue to do them that way. And I'm really excited to be here. And again, all the right things which we expect from Marcus. But he's not replacing Brandon Nimmo, nor is Nimmo replacing Marcus. In fact, I think Brandon Nimmo is bringing to this clubhouse. There's a bingo.
Hey-o.
There's a bingo. And I think Marcus is bringing to this clubhouse a breath of fresh air. And let's go count our winnings, and then let's talk a little bit more about that. Plus, what we can all be thankful for, and it's not just this bingo. That's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, supporters, be supportive. Thank you for being funny and recognizing what was going on in the background here, too. We always appreciate that. Hey, life comes at you fast, or really fast in the case of this bingo game, man. They're flying through it. But be a supporter of ours, and you get crazy, stuff like that. Sicko stuff like what we produce for our behind-the-scenes videos. And there it is again, the beautiful celebration of a bingo. And emojis and, new noises like you might hear in a casino. You get all of it here at DLLS. 15 or 5, you become a supporter, and God only knows what kind of behind-the-scenes access you might get.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to talk bingo at some point. I think John Supporters Club. And maybe Ali will throw it into his newsletter, because Ali is doing the newsletter, the DLLS newsletter. I want to make sure you guys are all receiving. It is free. You go to our homepage, alldls.com. Go to the very bottom, and there's a box. Hey, just put in your email address, hit submit, and you're in, baby. And that's it. And today's newsletter was headed by the Stars, what they did to the Oilers last night in Edmonton.
Wow.
Jamie Benn getting his 400th career goal, but 8-3. A good old-fashioned butt whipping on the ice up there. Also mentioned the Rangers news, and Cowboys are getting ready on Thursday, which is tomorrow, and their annual Thanksgiving game. So there's going to be plenty to do even holiday week. So again, alldls.com. Go to the bottom, put in your email address. Bang. You will have to subscribe to our newsletter.
Yeah, that's how you do it. It's super easy, and it's fantastic. We'd love you to be a part of that newsletter because there's a lot of fun that comes from that. Now, with regard first to that topic we just kind of broached at the end of the last segment, Jeff, that being the presence that we expect Brandon Nimmo to be in that clubhouse. We had Jared Sandler on yesterday, and Jared said it too. I mean, it's just something that even in 2023 was somewhat lacking. Obviously, it's super fun when you win a World Series. So there was more emotion present and sort of visible during especially that stretch run. But, we were all with them through most of the season. And it was a workmanlike, go about your business team. And there wasn't just a whole ton of emotion. There was fun because, they got off to that fantastic start, 40-20 or whatever it was. But I don't know that they were a team that was demonstrative, right, or very outgoing in their celebrations or that kind of thing. Brandon Nimmo seems to bring that. That can be contagious, and as we talked with Jared yesterday, it can be almost permission, like a permission slip for young guys. Hey, if you want to act like this when we do well, you're allowed.
Yeah, and that was one thing that Skip Schumacher talked about. He wants to figure out the chemistry, and he said a lot of it is getting to know the guys and what makes them click. But obviously, it was discussed during the season and in the interview process, which was very abridged. They needed some bingo in the clubhouse. they needed something. It was and I don't know how this happened. You're right. There are a bunch of professionals in there who don't show emotion, and that's the way it is. And maybe their behavior, like you might have mentioned, or maybe Jared mentioned yesterday, might have muzzled the young guys who want to bust out and get things going. And you got to have fun when you play the game. There is a level of professionalism. You want to go about it. You don't want to disrespect the opponents. All of that stuff. But by God, when you're having a good time and playing good baseball, and it's a big moment, it's a game. You got to go ahead and celebrate a little bit.
Yeah,
I think the last two seasons, one of the components we forget about with Adolis is that when Adolis is red hot, that guy flipping bat, pumping his chest, and having a great time and giving the team a lift. And then we mentioned it, and it's been mentioned to me. Jonah, with his body language, sucks the life out of a team. So it's like maybe these things did need to change. It was intimated throughout the last month of the season, the last couple months of the season, and then highlighted a little bit more Skip Schumacher in his interview, and now with Nimmo and the talk about the clubhouse. Yeah, I think we've all known something's there. We just got to see how it comes out in the wash now.
Yeah, it was missing. We noticed it. Fans noticed it. It was an absent component, and it is a vicious, or in the opposite, a pleasant cycle, right? Winning breeds happiness, and then what comes first, the happiness or the winning? The happiness or the winning? Typically, it's going to be the winning. It's never fun to lose. So what can we be thankful for? I think that as Ranger fans, and most of the fans in our chat, I know, are fans of all the DFW teams and fans of all of our teams at DLLS and fans of all the shows. All you have to do is look over to that poor Mavs group, right, to realize what it is that we should be thankful for. And that is the fact that, there is I believe, a very steady hand guiding the ship. And you might go, whoa, wait a minute. We just got rid of 4 people who were a part of a championship team 2 years ago. But Chris Young realized, he gave it a shot. And then it was time, Jeff, to cut his losses, cut the team's losses. He tried everything he could try to get more out of the guys who were so significant in that playoff run. And then when it became apparent to him that it wasn't possible, thank goodness, actually, this is what we can be thankful for. Thank goodness he just didn't sort of ride it out and keep trying to, maybe achieve a different outcome with basically the same approach.
Yeah, there's an awareness, and an admission that what was in place wasn't. And Chris Young is a competitive son of a gun.
Yeah.
Sometimes he can get a little pesky, all right, but he absolutely 100% wants to win, and he now knows for 2 years it didn't work with the guys that he entrusted to make it work the first time, and that was great. But you can hold on to the memories forever. You got to win ball games. He has a boss too.
Yep.
All right. Yes, he's held accountable. Be thankful for his awareness and his willingness to admit that, hey, I got to change this. All right, now be for a healthy Jacob DeGrom. That's fantastic. Be thankful, for Corey Seager. Be hopeful that he and Eovaldi are healthy. Be thankful the Rangers showed patience with Jack Leiter, allowed him the opportunity to blossom into what he became, and hope that he can sustain that. I'm always thankful for the roof. I absolutely positively love that thing. And I'm thankful that there are people like the people in our chat who care and want the Rangers to be great, because and Chris Young did talk about this the other day. He understands the fan base. He knows it can be a great fan base and is a great fan base, and he wants to provide a winning team for you guys. And so be thankful for that too.
Yeah, I think there, along those lines, there's another aspect of Chris Young to be thankful for, and that is he grew up a Rangers fan his whole life. So he gets you and us as fans, right? He gets you. He knew what the frustration felt like to just never be the team that was in on all these conversations and the team that was winning World Series. And he's focused, he's determined. You mentioned the competitiveness. He wants to make this thing, one of those teams that is that team that we're talking about every year. Think 90s Braves, think the Golden State Warriors of a few years ago, right? He wants to be someone that everybody knows should be reckoned with and should be considered a contender every year.
Yeah. And, there may come a time where he has to tear it down and rebuild all that stuff, but I don't think that he might quit before he has to do that. I think that he's always going to try to go for it, trade deadline, at least make moves. He's making moves now. I mean, he just traded a guy who was pretty important in this World Series there, championship. And, we just talked about a great guy in the community, and, a 3-time third-place finisher in the AL MVP. Not a bum. And but move on, Giants change philosophies, and Chris Young is willing to do that.
Yeah, I see too that it appears, at least early, like ultimately I think that the Rangers may, obviously because of the extra couple of years on Brandon Nimmo's contract, they'll end up paying more for Brandon than they would have wound up paying at the end of Marcus Semien's contract. That said, in the short term, I saw something where they make, there's an $11 million gain in the first year. So when you're in that budget cutting year, right? And Jared alluded to, I didn't want to put him on the spot because I know he works for the team, but he alluded to the fact that he believes and it said he believes it's a 1-year cutback to get under that salary cap. And then, he admitted he doesn't know what will happen next, but there's a thought there anyway that maybe we go back to at least business as it was the past few years, if not into, and it probably will never be, into the Dodgers and the Yankees territory, but maybe when we're not quite pinching our pennies quite so much.
Yeah, it's like a CBT reset. Plus,
yeah,
this is the year for a new CBA, and we talked about the lockout. You don't know what's going to be in this next one, so we're going to find out. Hopefully just 12 months. We don't need any lockout or strike or anything.
No,
things are going to be different in baseball in 2027.
Yeah,
there's just no getting around it.
Yeah,
Hopefully there is baseball.
Right.
But there are a lot of pieces in place here. When you look at a payroll, it's not just the upcoming year; it's future payoffs. How it all works, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there really is, and it takes a focused and a determined and a smart guy, and we all know, Chris Young was a Princeton guy, so you got a pretty smart guy at the top and a guy who's extremely well thought of in the game of baseball. So anyway, a lot to be thankful for there, and like Jeff said, it's not just the roof that we can be thankful for as Rangers fans, but that ballpark. First of all, I think all the creature comforts within it are great. But what it also does is it attracts free agents. I mean, to this day, when guys come in, they say this is the best ballpark in the big leagues, right? And I guess it is still the most recent to open. Is that right? I think it is. Vegas will have something to say about that. But
I think it is. Yeah.
So, of course it's the nicest. It's the most recent. And I don't think there's anything else on the horizon. I mean, you're going to have Tampa opening this season, but I don't think they're going to change it that significantly. There's only so much they can do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So not until Vegas opens in 2050 or whenever the heck that is, that will the Rangers be in peril of not having the sort of the pleasure of having the best baseball stadium, not only as it relates to the fans, and I suppose that's debatable, but as it relates to the players, and that's not debatable because everybody that's come through here says the same thing.
Yeah, players want to be treated right, and they want every possible thing out there to make them feel good and help them stay healthy and get better, all that stuff. And Jake Berger, I guess, comes to mind. He talked about how nice the visiting side was, and then he finally made it over to the home side, and he couldn't.
Yeah.
And like Corey Seager got to experience it. G49. No doubt, he remembered damn well what it was like. The World Series and the playoffs when the Dodgers were here in 2020. So no question, players everything they want from a great weight room training area. The kid, it's like, hey, what do you want? And they get it, Yeah. It's a heck of a place for players. DFW, especially the proximity to the airport. It's just a great area for people, and I know DeGrom from Florida. They still assimilate their kids into the community all in this year and this fall, and they stayed an extra month so that he could finish the season. I mean, that tell you how much they like it here. And like, sorry, we're bailing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we got to go. No, and the other thing that's and I've seen it a lot in in the trades, especially this Semien Nimmo one, but when they just talk about the tax implications of each, right? Nimmo gets an even bigger raise, if you will, by being here with no state income tax, right? And Marcus takes a bit more of a hit tax-wise there. So there's that too when players are considering things like free agency. So anyway, lots to be thankful for on the Rangers front, and of course we are thankful that we have the opportunity to chat about it all with you each and every day. Next up, we do our cleanup segment, and then we bid you adieu until after the holiday. But for now, we wait, and we do one more segment on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Well, we talked about it at the start. We're going to talk about it again. There's never been a better time to become a diehard. The clock is ticking on early access sale for diehards in our merch store. So scan that QR code, become a diehard. And just have a great time. Everything not everything, but I'm going to say 80% stuff we write is behind the paywall. And it's good stuff from the Cowboys to Stars and Mavs. I do is okay and are good enough, I guess, to keep you guys coming back. And more is coming. So go ahead and become a diehard. And it's the holiday season. Go ahead and make some friends now.
Sure. And get yourself a free shirt. And then if you want to make even better friends, gift them a really cheap shirt. They won't know it's cheap. And you buy it on our Black Friday sale, which currently is still only for our diehards, you see there. But very soon, it will be open to everybody. And there's some great deals on our Black Friday sale. Go in there and, get some money off, I think everything, and a lot of money off on some of the things. So the Black Friday sale will begin in earnest sometime on Thanksgiving, and then everybody will have access to that. For now, we know that the diehards have been taking great advantage of that, which is why we're in second place as far as units sold. So very proud of that. The diehard merchandise is available at store.allcitynetwork.com. It's great stuff. Jeff and I wear it all the time. We do it for a reason. You'll get some. You'll like it. Hats, we know there are more varieties of hats coming soon. So there's hats there now available too. So store.allcitynetwork.com to get your Black Friday merch.
Yeah, catching up on a couple things in the chat. All About Sports Zone. John and I both agree that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, 100%.
About the merch, but we agree wholeheartedly that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And then Janet, who said she's thankful for the quality of men in the clubhouse and on the team. And there's no question about that. And that's something else that Chris Young firmly believes in character from the top all the way to the draft. If in the draft it drafted a nice guy who's just a hair less talented than the jerk, they're drafting the nice guy. And that it pays out. If you've seen guests on our show, weekly show that have gone more, just from top to the bottom of the organization, terrific people.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. I thought it was very interesting that Chris Young was quick to point out that this trade was a baseball trade. Meaning, like, sometimes you would make a trade. Oh, that guy wasn't what we thought he was as a guy, right? But this was and he was quick to point out, it's just a baseball trade. Make each team better, and it's hard because it's kind of like when they, they agreed that Bruce Bochy was no longer going to be the manager, and then let's talk about the new guy, and I don't want you to think what I say about the new guy is casting aspersions at the old guy. And that's important in this case too. Nobody is suggesting that Marcus Semien was anything but a great guy in that clubhouse. But it appears that Brandon Nimmo is at least that as good. And because of the gregarious nature he has, maybe a little more outwardly good in that regard. So the Rangers, though, as we mentioned, are looking for likely a starting pitcher because Chris Young says you can never have enough starting pitching, and they're looking for bullpen arms. But let's take a look at the free agents, Jeff, the top 10 free agents that are listed out there, and it's a pretty interesting list, and not surprising, really, that Framber Valdez is at the top of it. But within that top 10, Jeff, how about that? Tyler Mahle, and by that, for that matter, Justin Verlander cracks it. I think it speaks a little bit. So does Merrill Kelly. They're at 7. I think it speaks a little bit to that it's not an extremely deep class of free agent pitchers. But glad for Tyler that that'll likely mean a pretty good payday for him. And I don't think that maybe I'm afraid that that list would help us indicate it came from MLB. The Rangers may not be in on any of those guys because I think, given the budget, it's just going to be a little steep for them.
Yeah, you kind of look at the 1-year guys.
Verlander, maybe, yeah.
Verlander, Mahle. I don't know if Kelly would take a 1-year deal, because he's at the end.
36.
Verlander is end the career at this point. Kelly feels like he has a few more good years in him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Mahle
he
actually got a multi-year deal with Rangers. Remember, but the first year he could only pitch for, it turned out 3 starts. But what you're going to do, and again, when you factor in the future payrolls, you think you're going to have Evaldi and DeGrom.
57.
3 more seasons.
57.
Do you wait to make another commitment on a starting pitcher till the next offseason?
I-30.
You just try to stopgap this year with the labor uncertainty, maybe, but find somebody. And maybe it is a scenario where it's just came off an injury. I was really hoping that Shane Bieber would have been
74.
playoff experience. He became tied to Toronto and felt a bond with them.
Yep.
Because he probably would have got more money.
Honest. Yeah. Oh, maybe twice as much. I mean, nobody could believe he took that. That he opted in. I think it was only for $16 million, Jeff.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know how they're gonna do this, but knowing Chris Young and his desire to have ample starters, I would be very, very surprised if they didn't surprise somebody you've heard of. And for
yeah, no, I would too. And of course, as we've mentioned several times, there's a remake ongoing, and maybe this is just something that's going to happen every year, a remake of the bullpen. Last year, they tried it pretty much without a closer by committee kind of a thing. Would they be interested in getting a closer this year? Would they be able to afford to? We know this, Jeff, that they've had interest in Kyle Finnegan in the past, and Finnegan's out there. And so you wonder, I mean, there's others too that they've shown interest in. The reality is they've probably shown interest in most of the closers that are out there. Then it just becomes a matter of if you can get them for the kind of price that you can stomach right now, again, given financial constraints.
Yeah, and we would all love it if they signed a closer. Just peace of mind going to the 9th inning. Yes, there'd be volatility. Perfect. Your high price closer is gonna give it up at some point, but more times than not, trots out from the bullpen. The other dugout's like, oh god, we got our work cut out for it. We're water. The Rangers didn't have that last year. They haven't had it for a while. And quite frankly, that's a factor. Bring in a closer comes in and throws 100, and has the nasty is who he is, and the offensive team is like, well, crap. What time's dinner?
Right.
So I'd love for that to be the case, but the Rangers know very, very well how much money they spent on a really, really good ball, and it wasn't much. It'll be really, really hard to replicate that, to find 5 guys willing to come in and pitch, have rebound years or whatever it is, that Armstrong and Hobie Milner and sort agreed to.
Yeah.
So, but chances are that's the avenue the Rangers are taking.
Yeah, and back to starter for a second. I saw lots of our chatters weighing in on that, and several people mentioning Patrick Corbin, who we haven't in a bit. And like I think it was T.O. that said he'd take him back in a heartbeat. I would too. You're not going to get him for $1 million this year, but the guy he proved last year that he was, as I think he has been throughout his career, Jeff, just very durable, right? He takes the ball every time it's his turn to pitch. And, with the Rangers last year, he gave them way more than I think any of us expected. And yeah, so I'd take a guy like that back, again, depending on the price. But we know this, it won't be $1 million. We also may know he got some attention last year, but, nobody wanted him until the Rangers got him in late March last year.
Yeah. And he's at the point where in his career, he's made his money already.
Yep.
Of course, everybody wants to make more money, but he's won a World Series, and I think that at this juncture in his career, that's all he wants. He doesn't want to pitch for the A's. $10 million a year if he can make 6 or 7 with a contender. It's not even a comparison for a guy at this juncture, unless he has a terrible gambling problem or something, which we'd probably already know about if he did. But the point being, he probably gettable. There are guys who are going to want to pitch for less for a contending team than to go and bag from a non-contender. Do you think Luis Severino has any regret about taking that deal with the A's last year?
No.
66. 66.
He's young and different, the first-time free agent. But what about Merrill Kelly?
65.
Want to be
Yeah. Oh, I'd love that.
Because if Arizona trades Marte, they ain't winning, right?
Right.
That's a clear indication that it is not their intention to compete. Plus, you're competing against the Padres and the Dodgers. What are your chances of winning there? But if you like pitching at home and making money, okay. Now, I'm not saying that Merrill doesn't like to compete, because that guy, he was a big game guy. The Rangers needed a good start. He gave it to him. He was that way in the postseason in 2023. He beat the Rangers in the World Series. So this is a guy that does want to win. And he's going to look at Arizona, no doubt about it. But if the Rangers were to come back with a competitive offer, I think he would take it. You got to win the World Series. That's why Nimmo's coming to the Rangers, because he thinks they can win a World Series. That's why Jacob deGrom came here. Everybody laughed when Jacob deGrom said, "I want to have a shot to win a World Series," and everybody's like, "Bah, ha, ha, ha." And by God, he won a World Series. He didn't do a lot to help, but hey, Rangers won all 6 of the games he started. All right.
Yep. And he put a ring on his finger at the end of that, the early next season. He was definitely a part of that World Series championship. So anyway, that sound in the background means somebody won, and you made it through the bingo. I appreciate you not being too beaten down by the sounds in the background here, but we're just having fun on the day before the holiday. We're also very thankful, as we've mentioned, for all of you who hang out with us every day. Thanks for doing that. Enjoy your holiday. Have a great Thanksgiving. Jeff, you and Kat and both families have a great Thanksgiving. We appreciate you. We will we'll see everybody on Monday for another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.